Welcome back to MLM Headlines Online News. Once again, we're joined by Mr. John Costino, who is Chief Networking Officer for Lyconet Americas. John, when we broke away, you were just beginning to talk about MLM as a potential cottage industry, a business opportunity in the home, to be run out of the home. What should a person be looking for when they go looking?
Well, before we even get into what they should be looking for, I think people have to make a decision and a choice for themselves. And what I mean by that is, as I expressed, we're taught to be employees. We're not taught to be business owners. Everything about our lives has been conditioning us to work for someone else and not do a whole lot of thinking for ourselves. The problem is we hear about home-based business, we hear about the opportunity to be our own boss, and of course it sounds wonderful, but we're not really qualified to do it because mentally we're not prepared. The challenge is made worse because companies within the industry have chosen to make it look like a winning lottery ticket. Get rich quick, money for nothing. When in reality, the choice is this. You're going to work. You're still going to work, but the choice is working for yourself around your own schedule instead of somebody else's. So the first thing that people have to actually decide is, will they respect their home-based business as much as they respect their job? And I get into this all the time with people because the goal obviously is you want more time with your family. But the challenge is in the initial 6 months to 2 years, you're going to have to do a little extra, which means you've got to continue going to your job. You've got to continue working to pay your bills. And you've got to make the choice to do a little extra, which means you're going to take away some of that very precious free time that you have right now and put it to good use. And I'll give you a perfect example. I used to have reps tell me all the time, I can't come to training on Saturday because Timmy plays soccer or Susie's got a piano recital or, whatever. And I'm like, that's great. But the very reason that you're trying to start the home-based business because you don't have enough time with your kids as it is. So the choice is this. If your boss at your job told you be in the office on Saturday to finish the project, would you tell your boss no because I've got to go to my daughter's softball game? Or would you be at work telling your child, hey, I'm sorry, Dad's got to be... It's an easy answer. Of course, we would be going to work. But when we start our home-based business, the problem is we don't do that. The problem here is you're not strong enough as a boss to tell yourself as the employee, you can't go to the softball game. You got to go to training to learn how to do this to be successful. So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that concept right there at the baseline is the biggest indicator of success and failure. Will you respect your business as much as you respect your job?
And that's true in any business. But in particular, when you're looking at a home-based business, I guess what you're saying is you have to have additional discipline.
Correct. In a traditional business, usually you've invested $50,000, $100,000, bought a tremendous amount of equipment with a capital investment. So you don't have a hard time complaining to anybody that you've put your life savings into this business venture. Home-based business is a beautiful option because it shouldn't, I shouldn't say it doesn't, it shouldn't require a huge capital investment. And it should be something that can be done in a part-time basis, not requiring a full-time commitment. But it doesn't change the fact that if you don't know how to do things and you don't train to be successful, you're just wasting your time.
Now, when you say that it shouldn't include a large capital investment, I assume you're saying there are some companies that do.
Yeah, and I'll tread lightly because I will simply say this. This has been my career for 25 years. It's my chosen field. And I'll make the statement that I love what it can be or it could be, but I can't stand what it is because I've watched companies, and I've been doing this for a long time. So I've worked with companies, I've helped to start companies, I've consulted with companies, and I've competed against thousands of them. After 3 decades doing this full time and having the ability to research the statistics across the industry, I'm not attacking any individual companies or even any individual segments, nutrition, skincare, whatever. I can honestly tell you it's extremely difficult to find the handful of companies that are doing it right, that sincerely are working hard to create an opportunity that will set people free. And I point to these statistics as the standard across the board for 3 decades. And it probably goes back further than that, but I'm just going to go back 3 decades. Over 90% of the people who invest money, spend money to start a home-based business never break even. 9 out of 10 never break even. So that means they don't ever get to say, I'm in profit, period. And at the end of the year, most companies have an annual renewal fee. Over 80% don't renew, choose not to participate in the second year. I look at that and I say, that's what, for me, breaks the industry. If 9 out of 10, and it's really more than 9 out of 10, don't break even and don't turn a profit, how long would you keep doing something that was losing money month after month? Which leads into over 8 out of 10, 80, 85% choose at the end of the year to say, I don't want to do that again. So something caught your eye, you fell in love with it, you joined, and a year later you don't want to do it? Well, clearly, if you were making money and having fun, you'd be excited to renew. So is that a fair way to validate that I'm saying that the model, the industry itself is broken?
Yes, it certainly is. At the same time, we know that a lot of really bright people have said that it's a good idea to have a home-based business. A Nobel economist said that during uncertain economic times, and I don't think anybody would question we're in one of those right now.
Absolutely.
That the best thing that we could be working towards is what he called a cottage industry, something a family could work on with available time and didn't take you away from the family. And so the principle of a home-based business is really important. And yet, is it inevitable then that these MLM companies are all going to be flawed in some way?
Well, again, I'll be polite and I won't say every company, but I'll say almost every company, and I'll say almost every company I've looked at has some inherent flaws in it. And I'll preface it by saying I'm not against a company turning a profit. I'm a capitalist. I understand the importance and the value of starting a business and turning a profit, but I am against the abuse of profit and, more importantly, taking advantage of unaware people that are trusting that we have their best interest. They're looking for an answer. They're praying for an answer. And that's usually when the next day or so somebody introduces them to a home-based business and they believe it was, an answer to their prayers, not realizing that they've had 85 to 185 other people in the past expose them to home-based businesses, but they were not open to it. Their wall was up. So now they're in a vulnerable state. They need something, and they believe in somebody who's painting this picture. And as I said, the reality is if 9 out of 10 are going to lose their money, and it's because of the inherent flaws. And we can go into detail, but the generic answer is the majority of companies out there have marked their products up, not a little bit, but 1,000 to 1,500%. So again, I'm not against profit. I'm against the abuse of profit. They ask people to buy more than they need. And they do that in the name of, well, we want to make sure that they're qualified.
All right. I think that what you're saying, John, is you don't want to see people invest too much money right at the outset. You don't want people to risk too much when there are statistics that suggest that there is some risk in this business. And so the people should get into an opportunity that has a moderately priced distributor kit and does not require an exorbitant investment in product that's going to end up in their garage.
Absolutely. I believe a company has the right, if they're the right company, if they're doing things clean, they have the right to charge a reasonable amount of money for someone to get started. They have the right to charge somebody a reasonable amount of money for product if they're going to go out there and sell it. I have no problem with any of that. But what's your plan? What's the game plan for that individual to actually succeed? If it's based around them doing unnatural things And again, I don't want to look like I'm ripping any individual company. So I'm going to talk about juices, shakes, skincare. You could pick whichever one you want. I've watched them get started. I watched the categories get created. And then I've watched Company A do things leading up to Company B's introduction into the industry. And they're not trying to fix the flaws with Company A. They're trying to be slightly better. They don't want to be good. They just want to be a little bit better so they can go out there and recruit Company A's people. And so I watch reps go from Company A to Company B to Company C. And I sit there flabbergasted saying the same problems that you had in Company A are already inherent in Company B. You're being asked to spend money that doesn't make sense.
So a big part of your career, John, as I understand it, has been going into companies, helping them to adjust their programs away from defeating behaviors, away from programs that require the wrong kinds of behaviors, and to create programs that anyone can, with the application of correct principles, have a reasonable chance of success in without having to risk a lot of money, and they can actually earn their way to success with a lot of like-minded people that they bring into the business with them.
Exactly. I made the decision I was never going to contribute to that again. I was never going to be a part of that. And the only way that I would actively participate in this industry is if I could be a part of the solution, that I could be a part of creating at least one opportunity where the average person could have success. And I won't go into details on that, but this industry attracts people, as we discussed, that are vulnerable and they're financially in need. So it's been my goal now for the past, it's been 14, 15 years to create an opportunity where, and I travel a lot, and one of my favorite restaurants is the Waffle House. I don't know if you eat there, but Waffle House is open 24 hours, and a lot of times I'm on the road. It's 11:30, 12:30, 1 in the morning, and I want to get eggs, and I'll go into Waffle House. And I use that as an example because in the industry, people are taught, recruit the waitress, recruit the waiter, recruit them. Well, you're at a Waffle House and there's a waitress working and it's her second or possibly her third job. She's got some kids at home and she doesn't have the ability to waste or lose money. So right there, these programs are preying on somebody who's working hard, trying to make ends meet, and the odds are she's going to lose whatever that investment is. So I've been on a mission to create an opportunity where with the tip money she has in her pouch, she could get started in her business. So I'm talking about less than $100. And more importantly, she does not have to go out there and perform what I would consider to be darn near impossible tasks. For instance, if she now needs to go ask people to invest $300 to $500 or more to get started, well, who does she know? She knows other people struggling, potentially other waitresses. They don't have $300, $400, $500 to throw at an opportunity. So even if somebody, her brother, her best friend, paid her way in, she has no ability to go recruit. So we needed to create an opportunity where she could turn to all the people she has in her circle of influence who are in the same financial situation, and they would say, I'm in. That's the only way we could go ahead and ensure that she has success. It's got to be something that's within her scope of influence and within her strike zone. So the products need to make sense. We can't be asking people to buy more than they need. That's one of the issues I've always had with these programs that have case auto ship. They sell you on the importance of drinking this juice or this shake or whatever. Okay, great. I'm a big proponent of being healthy. I'm a former athlete, and I won't say I eat perfectly, but I try to stay healthy. Well, if this bottle of juice is important to me, I'm happy to buy it. Why am I buying 4? Why are you forcing me to buy a case of 4? And they can say whatever they want. They're forcing me to buy a case of 4 to be, quote unquote, qualified for my check and to pad the incomes of the upline in the company.
The fact is, that's what things like the 70% rule were designed to protect distributors, consumers against. Protect them from going out and buying their qualification. The idea that they've got to sell 70% of it before they can buy more. And you and I both know of instances where people invest more energy in trying to figure out how to get around the rule than they do in simply fulfilling the rule.
Right.
And so you're talking about an opportunity in which people can genuinely earn their way to their success and aren't expected to purchase it. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's time for a company to do it the right way. And what I mean by that is when you look at the statistics and you say 3% succeed, 90+% don't, what if those 90% said enough's enough? What if those 90% said we're not going to do this anymore? We're not going to take this anymore, and realized they actually had the power. It's not the privileged handful that make all the money that really have the power, but they have to be woken up, much like when we talked about the problem. Let's solve this. So the solution is real simple. If the masses, who are all consumers, who are all customers, realize that they're actually in control of where they spend their money, they'd realize that they could control what businesses succeeded and which businesses didn't based on their choice. But they have to make the conscious decision to band together. Now, it's not crazy. We've seen big box buying clubs, I don't know if I'm allowed to use their names by name, but we know who they are, have taken huge leveraged buying power to lower costs. And it made sense for people to go buy 46 rolls of toilet paper at once, or a 6-pound jar of pickles. If we took that same concept and said, in a home-based business, what are we all at the baseline? We're customers. Well, what are we customers of? The same stuff. We buy groceries, we put gas in our car, we get our hair cut. We do things that are normal, every day, every week, every month expenses, and we all do them basically the same way. So what if a company basically said, look, we're going to say if you'll all choose to support this program, we're not asking you to spend more money than you currently do, which is so important. So forget the markup of 1,000 to 1,500%. What if you were going to shop at the same stores you already shop at? But when you shop through this cooperative buying group, I don't know if I can call it that, but for lack of a better term, a cooperative buying consumer club, shopping network, you're going to spend the same money you were going to spend at the same store you were going to spend it at. But through this organization, 2 huge benefits. Number one, cash back on the money you were going to spend anyway. But let's be real and let's not mismanage expectations. You're never going to get rich on cash back that you're spending. That's just the door opener. The second is, what if you got paid? What if you truly got paid to successfully and effectively promote those stores to other people that you know? It goes back to my favorite phrase and saying in this industry that has been a perpetual lie until right now. We always ask people, have you ever gone to a restaurant that you enjoyed and told a friend? And everybody says, of course. And you go, how'd you like to get paid for doing that? And they say, I'd love to. And then they would introduce them to some magical potion that's a juice or a shake or whatever. It has nothing to do with what they just said. What if there was a company that actually said, if you have a favorite restaurant or you've already chosen that this is the best place to get your car repaired, and we could make them a part of this consumer network and this shopping network, and you could actually get paid, not for paying higher prices, but for paying the same prices they were going to charge anyway, but because you actually did a great job of promoting for them, that's an opportunity I could get behind. That's an opportunity that makes perfect sense to me, and that's an opportunity that's time has come. I would say that's a fair place for the average person to get started.
All right, John. It's no surprise to viewers of this program that we are supported by Lyconet and Lyconet. And it sounds like you're leading into a pitch for that group of shoppers.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to interrupt you real fast because there is no secret that I am Chief Networking Officer for Lyconet. I'm employed and an executive of the company. But let's keep this as honest and as real as possible. We've covered 2 really important messages that I would be okay if we didn't go any further. I have no problem not talking about Lyconet and Lyconet. More importantly, I hope that we've awoken some folks to, number one, the problem that they need to do something. I don't really care what choice they make. That's up to them. But just don't go through your day in a daze thinking that someone is going to take care of you, because they're not. Social Security, bye-bye. Pensions, I don't know. But the point is, most Americans are in trouble. and don't know it. So I'm hoping that this video woke them up to the problem.
And so people in any network marketing company, as far as you're concerned, show this to their friends.
If they're smart.
Sound principles applies to us all.
Listen, if you can get past your ego and understand that I'm an advocate right now for everyday Americans, not for Lyconet or Lyconet, then understand that problem applies to everybody, including your parents. The second problem, called problem 1A, is that when people join home-based businesses, network marketing, multi-level marketing, and by the way, I don't care what you want to call it, it's all the same thing. People argue with me. Oh, well, don't call it this. Really? It is what it is. And the reason I got no problem, I have zero problem saying it's network marketing or multi-level, is because when it's done right, no one's going to care what you call it.
That's right.
But it is not done right by 99.9% of the companies out there. So problem 1A is if you're going to start a home-based business, know what to look out for. And I'll simply say this. If you're being asked to pay too much for something, don't do it. If you can go to a Walgreens or a Walmart or a Target and buy it, but it's 100 times to 1,000 times marked up in that network marketing company, don't buy it because it's being marked up for the comp plan.
All right. So if you plan to live long enough to retire, good information. If you want to get into a home-based business, good information. And
we could stop right there and I'd be okay. But
yeah, I'll bet your employers wouldn't be happy about that, though. So if you're interested in this potentiality, we're going to be talking about Lyconet and Lyconet when we come back.